Today's episode is brought to you by Surfshark. If it feels like the internet is getting more dangerous by the second, and feel that hackers have more ways to target you, trackers are following your every move, and malware is hiding all over the web, luckily there is a solution. You can get a VPN. Essentially, it will hide your location and make you more difficult to identify and target. But privacy and security are not all that Surfshark has to offer. If you have a VPN, you will forget all about those pesky geo restrictions. Everything from news sources to social media apps that have become unavailable to you because of your location. All you need to do is change your virtual location and access all the entertainment you want safely and securely. And the best part is you can try out Surfshark completely risk-free because they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/TTD. And don't forget, enter promo code TTD for 83% off and 3 months free. But now, on with today's show. Today is the best of times and the worst of times because I get to chat with my old friend Steve Tack from Dynatrace, who's going to be sharing a few of the big announcements from their Perform event in Las Vegas. He's a great guy and I just love chatting with him and catching up with him. So what's the bad side, I hear you say? Well, I should be in Vegas chatting with him face to face, but the event has been forced to go virtual this year after rising COVID figures over the holiday season. I also know that nobody is more gutted about that than the entire team at Dynatrace, who have spent the best part of a year planning that event. But their passion for what they do has continued to shine in the recent conversations I've had with everybody there, and I want to use today as an opportunity to spread the word of some of those big announcements far, far beyond Las Vegas and over to 165 countries where you're all listening. So, if serverless computing improvements, application security, software intelligence as a code, if these areas are something that excites you and might fix a few problems you've got in your business, trust me, you are very much in the right place. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Las Vegas where Steve Tack is going to join us from Dynatrace again. And I'm really looking forward to this one. So let's get him on the podcast now. So a massive warm welcome back to the show. We last spoke, I think it was exactly a year ago, but can you just remind the listeners with a little of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure, Neil. Well, thank you. Thank you for having us back. And it's amazing it's been a year. But my name's Steve and I lead the product team for Dynatrace.
Fantastic. And I had hoped that we'd be meeting in person this year in Vegas. We came so close, but maybe next year we can make it third time lucky. But how is the virtual event going so far?
It's about as good as you could expect without being face to face. So we share the same sentiment. We all hoped we would be here together. But I think the team has definitely done a great job. I think there's a little bit of Zoom fatigue that everyone's had after however many years we've been at this. So they've been trying to do a lot of fast pace, quick style, really trying to keep the energy high so that people get as much as they can out of the show.
Fantastic. And I have been monitoring from afar here in the UK. And this year, there's already been some pretty big announcements, starting with extending observability to all major serviceless architectures. Can you expand on that one? Because it seems quite a big one.
Yeah. And well, there's a couple of themes that are kind of coursing throughout our product investments over the past year. And this is another one where we've been continuing to help organizations adopt their cloud native technologies and doing it with confidence. And so this announcement is really targeted for those enterprises who are multi-cloud and who need to run things at scale. And the way Dynatrace helps them do that is through the intelligence of the AIOps engine and driving that forward. So we've had support for serverless architectures. Obviously, we've been driving on Kubernetes, AWS Lambda. And what's new in this one is that we're continuing to extend out and provide complete support for Azure functions, for GCP, so that as companies really bring together dozens and hundreds of services together, Dynatrace can still provide that end-to-end perspective.
And I know you're actually still in Vegas because you're using a lot of the sound equipment and on some of the big presentations there.
Yeah.
So are you able to share any other big announcements that you're unveiling at Perform?
Yeah, there's a couple of big ones, and as you and have talked about in the past, I mean, we don't hold back things for Perform. We continuously are releasing and pushing major releases every other week for the benefit of our customers. But Perform and the show in Vegas gives us a chance to throw the spotlight onto some topics that we think are really meaningful. So you just touched upon the one with serverless. Another big theme is introducing software intelligence as code. So there's a big movement for everything as code, for automation, for resiliency, for speed, and in kind of what we believe true Dynatrace fashion and different than the alternatives out there in the market, we're enabling companies to drive automation at scale and include both observability, but then also extend to application security and advanced AIOps. So that's one that will really help development teams, SRE teams, DevOps teams all collaborate more effectively and be able to work at a very fast pace. And I can keep going. I've got two more big ones that we're going to announce, but I don't know if you want me to take a breath, Neil. And
no, go for it. If there's two big ones, I've got to hear them.
All right, perfect. So the next one that's we're really excited about is more around the ecosystem. And so we're extending our DevSecOps Technical Alliance Partner Program. And this is really for the benefit of our end customers who are using different tooling across their worlds or environments to deliver better business outcomes for their customers. And so they come in some big areas for automation, like helping people through the CD pipeline. So working with GitLab, Azure, DevOps, working through a number of partners in that space. Out into the production side, we're helping through self-healing, automation, working with customers like ServiceNow and Ansible and others, and then also some more advanced areas that I think are a little bit more on the edge for some customers, where it might be chaos testing and working with Gremlin, or it might be understanding DevOps releases and how to manage them effectively with Launch Darkly. So it's really about building these out-of-the-box use cases that help customers automate and drive intelligence and action throughout their ecosystem. And the final one, which I would actually extend upon that, so if we're thinking about DevSecOps and putting a little bit of a spotlight on security, is the advancement of what we're doing within our application security module. And so I know you talked to some on the team about Log4Shell and kind of that vulnerability really was a point in time which created a lot of awareness around the need for a new approach, because organizations can't test their way out of this. They need that production insight. And so with Dynatrace, we help them identify and prioritize and understand where vulnerabilities exist and helping them in that across our life cycle. And what we're announcing is that we're moving from the vulnerability analytics and detection to actually doing self-protection and blocking. So for example, if that Log4Shell vulnerability, the next variation of that happens, will not only help customers understand where it exists and how they can remediate where they're most exposed, but they'll also have the comfort of knowing that will block attacks as people look to take advantage and exploit that and move that forward. So a lot of big themes across the product line and the solution, the platform overall, but really thematically driven around helping customers with these modern technology and team topologies that they're adopting, cloud native technologies, all to really further support their digital transformation initiatives.
And for me, it still blows my mind just how much technology has transformed the world in just 2 years. I mean, thinking back 2 years ago, Zoom and Microsoft Teams and things were hardly used and almost avoided by many aspects of businesses. And that has completely changed. And we saw Zoom go from hardly anything to 150 billion market cap, and which was bigger than 15 airlines combined, which is just mind-blowing. And then from there, we went from remote working to hybrid working, and now the world's opening back up. So why are these product updates so important in your mind, especially as the world continues to evolve and everything opens up?
So great question. And it is amazing how much has changed in 2 years. You almost have to take yourself out of the day-to-day and think back because there's a lot of trends that I always find they feel maybe a little bit too like a marketing term or fluffy or throwaway. But when you talk about something like digital transformation, it's easy to just say, yeah, that's a trend. But then when you look at it through an individual customer or maybe a vertical, it becomes so much more real and so tangible. So helping organizations really make sure they can continue to thrive as we're in this kind of pandemic and social distance way. So as an example, retailers that a lot of brick and mortar companies that maybe had to really change their entire business model. So there was a retailer in North America that we worked with that went from a heavy store presence to a buy online, pick up in store initiative. And that's something they would have done, regardless of what's been happening over the past few years or a couple of years. But it really turned it from, hey, something that's unique or differentiated for our customers into it's critical for them to continue to drive the business forward. And so when we look at the Dynatrace role here, it's helping them through that initiatives because they're picking up things like Kubernetes, which was a newer technology for them. They were moving towards a continuous delivery approach versus more of a manual and stepwise change through their pipeline. And so helping organizations make sure that they can adopt these new technologies with confidence, that'll have the right impact on the digital interaction and the user, the employee, the customer at the end. This is really what's motivating us and what's exciting when you see the customers have success with these transformational efforts.
And I'm curious, what are the big cloud and security challenges that Dynatrace is addressing with these product updates? Because again, big talking points at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they're huge. And so when we look at what people are doing with the cloud and how it changes their tech stack, how it changes their processes, how it changes the way you go about securing the applications and the workloads, there is a significant hurdle to make sure that you're successful. And so let me be a little bit more, put a little bit more meat on the bone on that. A lot of what organizations have built up in the past are optimized towards either technology or processes that don't really exist anymore. And there's been a little bit more of a mindset and a culture of, hey, we can grab a metric and put it on a dashboard and then have a human look at it. But that just doesn't work at scale. It doesn't work at with the dynamism of the cloud. And so the Dynatrace difference and what we're investing in is to make sure that we're not only helping them unearth that insight and provide the observability and security, but we bring with it the answers that are based off of the investments we make in AI and analytics. And those answers that we provide customers allow them to drive intelligent automation. And that's really where we're trying to help increase the speed and the confidence so that organizations, best, brightest people, they can focus on new innovation and not on managing the existing assets and taking a lot of the manual work out of the system so that they can move faster. And I think that's where we really see an opportunity to help these organizations move and be successful in those efforts.
I love that. And as an ex-IT guy, if I was in Vegas with you, soaking up the keynotes there, I'm armed with a curious mind. I can't help myself. And I'm always thinking the free Wi-Fi that I'm connected to, I find myself looking up and trying to find out where those wireless arrays are. So for those reasons alone, I'd love to take a peek behind the Dynatrace curtain. I mean, what is it that drives your team to develop these updates? Is there anything you can share about that ethos around them?
Yeah, well, so that's a really good kind of segue or hint in terms of a lot of what Dynatrace innovations come from are Dynatrace as customer zero. So we whether you say eat your own dog food, drink your own champagne, we experience that. And so, for example, the software intelligence as code, that wasn't like an idea that we had and came out of like a product mindset. It was born out of necessity in terms of running the Dynatrace global footprint of SaaS clusters and on-premises clusters and things of that nature. So a lot of what drives us from the start is our own experience, what we see as the need and what we see driving forward. Now, that's kind of one ingredient into the mix. But the second ingredient, and I might be repeating myself just a little bit on this one from an earlier answer or discussion point, is that we get really charged up seeing our customers have success in the marketplace. I mean, a lot of us are competitive, have a competitive spirit. And so we not only like to deliver the best product on the market and the best solution for our customers, but it's really inspiring when we see our customers and their digital transformation efforts and what they're able to then deliver to their end customers and how they're able to change their business. So it's exciting. We continue to really use it as fuel for the innovation engine, and we'll continue to see that drive.
And if we zoom out and look beyond Perform and into 2022 and 2023 and listeners and customers that are located all over the world, what do these announcements mean for Dynatrace's product portfolio as a whole, would you say?
Yeah, I think the shift, and this isn't just marketing speak either, but we really have gone from a strong heritage and understanding application performance into a much broader view across the platform. And if you look at what you've seen from Dynatrace over the last year, maybe a year and a half, is that we've entered into areas like application security. We've entered into areas like cloud automation, and we're doing that all on the shared what we believe are secret sauce elements of the platform: the AI engine of Davis, real-time topology of Smartscape, the ubiquitous instrumentation with one agent. And so we're bringing those forward. Now, the reason we believe, though, that the platform is needed and that broader approach, it goes back to some of the concepts you and I were discussing and that we both see in the market. Yeah. Digital transformation efforts, critical. Cloud native technologies are really the vehicle of choice to move those forward. Cloud automation, or the cloud technologies, provide an opportunity for automation, but to do that, you have to have the intelligence, and then the automation drives collaboration across SRE teams and development teams. I mean, it all comes together. And so that's really what you can continue to see out of the Dynatrace platform going forward, investments across all those areas. And once again, I think something that sets us apart is that we're not just doing it for the technology's sake, but we always put an emphasis on what that interaction is at the edge for that user, because all the application infrastructure investments, et cetera, that a company makes, they all get realized, and the value gets realized when you can support that business process, that transaction, whatever it might be for the user. And that's really what we're orienting ourselves to help our customers succeed with.
And I've spoke to several members of your team and indeed yourself, and I know you're all gutted that Perform is not live, but as an optimist, one of the things I always try and do is look on the positive side of things. And in many ways, all the presentations that people can't see because they're in Vegas, it actually helps you break out beyond the venue of those four walls and speak with people all over the world, and people can tune into those keynotes. So Can you remind the listeners of where they can find you online? Maybe check out some of those announcements, some of the videos from the event, and contact your team if they do have any additional questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and thanks for that, because the team, they're all anchored in customer value. So it's really, hopefully, what people will walk away from Perform with are both things that they can put into practice today. They'll find, tips, tricks, hints on how to deliver better today, but also maybe stretch their thinking a little bit in terms of where they want to go next. And so if you go to the Dynatrace website, dynatrace.com, Perform will be, a big splash right there. You'll be able to register, see it live, catch up on the keynotes afterwards. But right on the website, we'll make everything very transparent and available to everyone.
And I do urge anyone to check that out. There's so much great information coming out of the event around serverless computing, application security, software intelligence as code, and so much more. I won't reveal any more spoilers, but hopefully we can meet again in face-to-face next year and have a cold beer and have a good chat. But more than anything,
I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks as always, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Neil.
As an ex-IT guy who used to work in the event space, I know how long goes into planning these kind of events and all the logistics that go into ensure everything goes to plan. So I really felt for the entire team when they were forced to go fully virtual just a month before the event. But what really stood out for me is the resilience of everyone that I've spoke to. That's what stands out. It stands out as much, if not even more so, than their tech, and how they just dust themselves down and focus on what really matters. How they just dust themselves down, get back up and focus on what really matters, which of course is serving their customers. So a big thank you to Steve for coming back on the podcast today. I do suspect he was caught on back-to-back Zoom calls for several days, but there's no way I can know that because every conversation with him is with a big smile and full of positivity throughout. But over to everyone listening, serverless computing, application security, software intelligence as a code, we covered quite a lot. I do urge everyone to go over to the Dynatrace site, check out some of the announcements coming out. We only scratched the surface today, but check it out and let me know your thoughts. What excites you, what doesn't excite you, and everything in between. And you can do that by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram @Neil C. Hughes. And my website, if you need any help with ghostwriting tech blogs or launching your own podcast and you don't want any hassle of editing audio files and setting up RSS feeds, give me a shout. Pop by techblogwriter.co.uk. But that's it for today. So a big thank you to everyone listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.